Alright YouTube, so here we are, semifinals of 2v2 World Cup. First series is UN Licks for China versus Miguel Dogao in Brazil. They already had the draft. Here is the Civ Draft. China A is going with Nomad, Scandi, and Valley. For their home maps, banning Arena. Team Acropolis is the ban of Brazil. They will be playing with Team Islands, Ghost Lake, and Golden Pit. The Civs are as follows. And one thing that we discussed while we were looking at this draft a couple of minutes ago is that the Italian snipe is super interesting from Brazil because this makes China pretty bad on water because you don't want to use Berbers on water when you have Golden Pit where Berbers are absolutely amazing. So it's going to be a little bit tricky for China. Also, the other thing to notice is that China is stacked with cavalry civs like Franks, Magyars, Persians, Berbers, Cumans, Spanish, Teutons, Bulgarians. But not so stacked with archer civs. So it's going to be a little bit tricky for them to squeeze out the archer play. Whereas on the other side, Brazil went heavy on the archer civs. Mayans, Ethiopians, Vietnamese, maybe Portuguese, but Malay, Japanese, Byzantines, Koreans. So we have a team that goes heavy on the cavalry. And we have a team that goes heavy on the archer civs. That's basically the lineup. And if I'm not mistaken, the games will start in a couple of minutes. Once again, I'm just gonna remind everybody over here that in about half an hour, I'm gonna have a quite important phone call. So I will probably not be talking for like 2 or 3 minutes in the game when I actually get that call. I will still be showing whatever happens on the screen, so don't worry about that. It's just a matter of I will be muted for like 2 or 3 minutes. Unfortunately, that's the only way I can actually do this. It's not a phone call I can miss. But there should be no trouble with that. Alright, so my predictions for this one is China winning 4-2, but Brazil has had some very, very amazing performances while in this tournament. Both of these series that are happening today, I expect them to be quite close. So, speaking of being close, we actually have the time to look at the maps and see how they actually go. I feel like I expect China to win Arabia. Team Islands will be in the hands of Brazil, that's 1-1. Nomad is won by China, according to my predictions. That's 2-1 for them. Golden Pit is also won by China. That's 3-1. Ghost Lake is something that Brazil is going to win. That's 3-2. And then Scandi is something that China is going to squeeze out. And that's what gives us the 4-2. That's my prediction for this one. Valley being the map that's not played. Of course, it could go differently. But this is my expectation / prediction for the outcome. After this series, we're going to have Norway versus Spain. All the players are in the lobby, so I guess it's just a matter of seconds until they launch up the game. Miguel Dogao will be playing red and yellow. UN Licks will be playing blue and green. That's the standard for this tournament. It's cold versus warm colors under all circumstances. And, well, the winner of this series gets into the grand finals tomorrow, and the loser is not out of the tournament. The loser is going to play for some extra prize money tomorrow in the third place game, something that we don't frequently see in tournaments nowadays. Usually semifinalists just, you know, get out of the tournament once they lose. But here, there is going to be a third place match, and there is a considerable difference between the prize money for the third place and the fourth place, I believe. In fact, I'm going to check this out, but indeed, third place gets $3,000, fourth place gets 2.2k. So there's actually a significant difference between third and fourth place, but obviously these players are looking to get into the grand finals. Second place would get $5,000, and this first place gets a little over $7,000. So that's the goal for either of these teams. This matchup was the finals for 2v2 World Cup in 2018. Now it is the semifinals, and since Robo has left the lobby, I assume that the games will start in a moment. Indeed, the game is up. So here we go, 2v2 World Cup. And we have a super interesting Civ lineup over here to take a look at. Not something I expected. The Franks and Britons is pretty standard, but I don't like it. And the reason why I don't like it is because Ghost Lake is much better with Britons. I don't understand the Britons pick here for China. Why use Britons here when you could preserve it for Ghost Lake? You could go for other archer civs just as well, if you look at this. Like, you could go... Remember that they don't have a lot of archer civs, so it's a little bit tricky. And this is why it could backfire, because Britons could have been so much better for Ghost Lake, but I feel like they could have gone Chinese. They could have even gone Aztecs, to be honest. Like, Britons don't have thumbring, they just have the range advantage and faster working ranges. Aztecs don't have thumbring either, so you wouldn't really lose much by going Aztecs here instead of Britons, in my perspective. Other side, Tatars is a very interesting Civ selection. Something that could actually prompt a very aggressive play from Brazil. Because Tatars will get the free thumbring, which can be super useful. So I could see like a triple range archer play with fast ballistics and thumbring coming in here from like a Drash FC for Brazil. The cavalry civ alongside that is Hans, fairly standard over here. Tatars is going to be interesting for Dogao, but he has been a beast with the Drash FC, so interesting decision from Brazil. We'll see how it works out. I'm not a fan of Britons for, like, it's not because Britons are bad for Arabia, it's because they could have been better elsewhere. Lix just wants to have fun. We'll see. We'll see if that's the case, but here we go. In 1 minute, we're going to jump into Arabia, and we are going to have game number 1 up. The spectator delay will be 3 minutes for all games, but as you probably know, after game number 1, we won't have to wait this much because they will already be setting up the game while we're still spectating the previous one. So it's just 3 minutes waiting over here, but not a lot more after. So, Hans and Tatars, the strike of the nomadic civs coming in here. 2 of the very, very dangerous raiding and looting civilizations of the early medieval times versus Franks and Britons, the civs of Western Europe, the civs of knighthood, the civs that actually fought for hundreds of years against each other, now in one team against the nomadic attackers. Alright, yeah, I think one of the things that we want to point out here is that out of the 4 teams that are remaining in the tournament, and that's a very good point from Preda indeed, that out of the 4 teams remaining in this tournament, only 2 teams actually have players that have played a lot of games together outside of 2v2 World Cup, and that is China and Brazil. You are going to have Miguel and Dogao on the northern part of the map with red and yellow in Hans and Tatars, and you're going to have Franks for Mr. Yo in blue, and Lix is playing green Britons. So, if you look at Norway, MBL and Viper don't play a lot together. They're on different teams. They just teamed up for 2v2 World Cup. Same thing for Spain, Taro, and Lan. But these players, they actually play together in other tournaments as well. Any 2v2 tournament you bring in, Yo and Lix will be there. Miguel and Dogao will be there. Any team game tournament you bring in there, these players are the cores of a team. Usually, like for Heresy, Miguel, Dogao, and Lan is the lineup. And for Team China, it depends, but Yolix Vivi or Yolix Jibatong or Yolix Padin are usually frequent participants of team game tournaments as well. Brazil should go blue and green. I don't think that it is the decision of the teams, which team goes blue and green and which team goes red and yellow. It is based on the seeding, so there are strict color rules, mainly because they want consistency and they want to make sure that the players are the same colors in all of the games. So, yeah, indeed, in terms of national colors, it would have been better for Brazil to be green and blue, but it is just the rules that the higher seed is the one that has to go for a certain color set, and the lower seed has to go for the other. It is in the rulebook, I don't remember which is which. But anyways, Miguel's home map over here, we're gonna have a nice little gold at the back, stone at the back. Woodlands aren't amazing and berries aren't nice either, but this is an okay-ish map for Miguel. Easy wall-offs, and well, the only thing that really hurts is the berries, but you can make a stable and the barracks over here and the wall like that, and you should be fine. Now, on the other side, we're gonna have Dogao with what is an okay-ish map. Not the best, especially the woodlines aren't great, but it is a volleyball map. The berries are not nice either, but it's relatively volleyball, so I can see Dogao doing a Drash FC because I believe that's the initial plan. We have seen that happening from him in the previous round against Vietnam. Yo is actually pretty close to Dogao over here. Yo's base is actually kinda a meh type of a thing, so easy wall-offs here or here. Right side is very vulnerable, and the berries are safe, which is a nice thing for Franks. Even has a safe stone, and the gold could be secured easily. But the left side is very, very open, so it's going to be a little bit tricky for Yo to wall this. Last but not least, Licks, 4 on wood. You want to split 2 on each side and not 1 here and 3 here, because this villager is a little bit exposed to a scout trying to pick it off, even though it's close to the TC, so this villager shouldn't die. But regardless, this is not exactly how you're supposed to do that. Any chance to see Tatar Cav Archers? I think if the game goes into Imperial, you have to see Tatar Cav Archers, because the Tatars don't have Arbalest. So Tatars will open up with crossbows, but eventually they will have to tech switch into Cav Archers. In fact, it's not impossible Dogao is planning to go for Cav Archers from the start, but it's a little bit dangerous. One thing to point out is that we are going to have the Cavalry Civ versus the Archer Civ, and other side, Cavalry Civ versus Archer Civ as well. This actually helps Dogao go for Cav Archers, because you can't afford to go straight Cav Archers against a player that is going Foot Archers, because you're not going to have the capacity to fight in Feudal Age. Or even if you go Drush FC, your opponent is going to have more archers or crossbows. Anyways, Premium Drush coming in here for Dogao, something that he frequently does in 2v2 World Cup. Here comes the second elephant, a little bit too late. He actually suffered some damage on his scout from the one from Mr. Yo, but Yo is going to go for Loom. This is an interesting decision. This is either a very fast up, and yeah, it's a fast up. It's a fast up from Mr. Yo going at 20 pop. This actually is an interesting build from Dogao then, because this feels like a pre-milled rush, but it kind of feels like this mill was just late. So this is technically a pre-milled rush, but in reality, the timing of it is just a standard rush here from Dogao. But Yo is already having his villagers with Loom. This villager, however, could be picked off because these walls might be a little bit too greedy from Yo here. Everybody is going into Feudal Age with the exception of Dogao. And as I said, I feel like he wants to play Drush FC here, use that thumb ring for himself. Lix also has Loom, so this scout cannot really kill any villagers. Lix going 2 on gold. This is going to be a straight archers build for our Britain's player. And here's the Drush. Yo is not going to be able to plug that hole in. And here's the moment when you just want to point out that for Dogao, or at least his playstyle, especially is trying to pick off that villager, there isn't really a lot of villagers that could garrison the TC up until now, but that wall is going to be stubbed. When I was coached by Dogao, he specifically said that the only reason why you drush for a Drush FC is to be able to make sure you can finish your walls, because your opponent is busy dealing with your Drush. So this is already a good achievement for Yo, being able, or Dogao, being able to delay those walls, being able to idle a lot of villagers from Mr. Yo over here. Not sure what is happening to Yo. Yo isn't sending these villagers back to wood, and I wonder if Mr. Yo just dropped. Did he? What is happening to Yo? Or are his wood lines bugged? No, this wood line isn't bugged, it's just the pause side blocking the lumber camp, but this is a disaster for Mr. Yo. He was off from wood for so long, and if you look at his wood income right now, it is just not enough to get a stable up. This was perfect for Dogao. He's going to be able to wall himself off. As I said, he believes that basically, if you're able to wall yourself after a Drush and not take any losses in Dark Age, that's perfectly fine. If he can actually kill a villager or damage the opponent's eco, then it's even better. So that's Dogao's mindset drushing, and really this start here has been crippling Yo quite heavily. Now, Lix is here going for double ranges, but in the meanwhile, Miguel going for a stable, pops out the scouts over here for himself. I think I really like this, to be honest, because Dogao's gonna have an untouched Drush FC over here. He's going up at 28 villagers. Remember, Tatar sheep last longer, so you don't need to make as many farms as you would need for other civilizations. And he's already running around with Drush, and like, Yo is gonna have to clean this one up somehow, but it's going to be quite annoying for him to do. So, this is an excellent start for Brazil over here. Yo is still off from wood, and that actually hurts. Because the reason why you go for double lumber camps is because you want to have the villagers that are about to make farms take the straggler trees. If you have to consume the straggler trees a little bit faster, you will run out of stragglers before you would actually be able to establish your farming eco. So this is not ideal for Yo, and I really like that the guy was just preventing Yo from getting to his wood lines, forcing Yo to consume his straggler trees before he actually wants them to. Now, Spear and Archer is coming in here from Lix, which is a little bit dangerous for Miguel, and he cannot even house wall behind because he's Huns. So this is a little bit tricky. Spear and Archers could actually cause a lot of trouble for Miguel, but I feel like it is in the hands of Dogao to just really capitalize on that Rush FC. Loses the scout, not so ideal. Nice micro from Yo over there, beautiful micro. But at the end of the day, if you look at Yo's eco, I think the damage has been done by Dogao. Yo's got 4 scouts here, one of them is fairly damaged, and Yo is even making a bad mining camp spot. He probably just misclicked it, because there is so many things to do, like walling this off, sending this villager back to work. Yo feels a little bit sloppy in the first game over here, like a lot of idols and whatnot. I mean, of course he's still playing extremely high level, it's just a matter of I've seen Yo playing better than this. Now you have to kill that spearman if you want to take this fight over here. They will actually do that, and this is actually a nice cleanup for Miguel now. Being able to clean up your opponent's archers with scouts is like perfect value, because scouts are just much cheaper in terms of resource investment than archers are. So being able to clean up archers with scouts is always a nice thing to have. And see that Lix has to walk back to his base. This is looking extremely strong for Brazil, and not gonna lie, if this continues like this, I'm gonna say that my prediction on 4-2 China is going to be awfully wrong, because so far Brazil has been playing this one with surgical precision, and part of it is Miguel coming back to his old shape. Miguel was kind of rusty in the earlier times of Definitive Edition, but now he has gotten back to his Woobly form, especially in team games, and boy oh boy, when he is there, he is actually super strong. He was gonna have the scouts over here, but Miguel, especially if he gets +1 defense, which is something he could do, even goes double layer polycite, something I really like. He could actually go for +1 defense and clean this army up over here. Every archer he kills hurts so much for Lix, and remember that Yo isn't even close to getting up to... Actually, Yo isn't far away from kicking up to castle. Remember, Yo didn't make a lot of scouts. So maybe Yo is gonna be able to get up, and now defensive tower is forced from Miguel here. Tries to gate out the opponents over here, but this is getting more and more dangerous over here. He's gonna have to bring in the scouts to help this one out, lower the archer numbers, because that's not ideal for him that he needs to make a defensive tower. Both of his wood lines are quite exposed, so this could be a little bit problematic for Brazil. Miguel not losing a single villager though, so far so good for him. And he's waiting for more scouts to pop out. He's going to try and trap this army in here, and here it comes. He's just trying to get the surround move, and it's a wrong side pop out. That's actually pretty bad. Is he waiting for... Yeah, he's waiting for bloodlines. Okay. Now, he has to be careful because he's investing a lot into scouts, and you don't want to do that when Yo is going to be able to get up to Castle Age very soon. I like this move, Stone Walls, because he realizes that the palisades will be broken through by crossbows. There is a small problem though for Yo. He's going to be off from wood. And those archers already have Thumb Ring, so they're super dangerous. And yes, the stone walls will prevent the archers from moving inside, but there's absolutely nothing that China can do to stop the crossbows, and Yo will be off from wood, which is already a huge thing. Just take 2 crossbows here, take 2 crossbows here, and Yo has no wood. And he's going to be off from wood for 2 minutes, which is already a huge amount of damage done by just a few crossbows. If you add the fact that these scouts will also be potentially be able to pick off some archers if the archers move out, force a defensive tower, that's actually very nice. I'm not sure if that's an overreaction or not from Lix, because I feel like he could have just kept those scouts outside with the archers. I don't think that he needs that defensive tower. And now the crossbows are coming towards Lix. Interesting. Yo is going to be fully walled, and one thing that we still need to pay attention for is that Yo is going to be the first player that gets knights out on the field and not Miguel. Miguel needs to get up himself. But at this point, like, Lix is just scrambling to get those house walls up here. Maybe he's gonna lose a few villagers though. So far, the defense from China is very, very nice to this one, but this could cost a few villager lives over here. And there is a weak house foundation that could still be killed, but this buys some time for China, something that they desperately need right now. More crossbows on the way for Dogao. Dogao needs to make sure he doesn't lose those crossbows to knights coming in from Yo, but Yo is just getting +1 defense. So Yo is gonna need some more time until he can get +2, and crossbows with Thumb Ring will actually be pretty devastating against those knights with just +1 defense. So apparently they're switching back to Yo. I feel like they could just go and try and deny Yo's wood. They could have done that for long. They decided not to, and now Yo decides, okay, I need some knight numbers on the field. He's gonna go for triple stable knights. It's going to be +1/+1 knights, something that the guy is going to be able to see. However, one thing to note is that without +2 defense, especially crossbows with thumb ring, will actually be extremely devastating. And I mean, Dogao was playing 2 TCs, universities coming in. This is all Tatar, so you don't get the extra sheep with the town centers. If Dogao can just group up his army here, he should be fine against the knights. There are still quite a lot of scouts on the field for Miguel that could be useful for intercepting the archers of Lix over here. Lix is sending them forward, crossbows are in, and we're going to see triple stables for the Hunnic player here as well, so very aggressive Castle Age from Brazil over here. And remember, these are Hunnic stables, so they even work faster by default. Triple stable Huns is a brutal flood of knights here, and +2 defense will be coming in for Miguel without any further concerns. For now, the guy is retreating to the safety of his hill over here. And +2 defense coming in here for Yo now. I feel like Brazil didn't do enough damage with the Drush FC that they could have done. They could have just denied Yo from all of wood, and that would have prevented Yo from getting the search stable up, maybe getting additional farms up. So they could have done a lot more damage, and now it is Dogao that has to start moving up. Remember, he already has Thumb Ring, something that Britons will never have. So the rate of fire for those crossbows will always be better than the Briton crossbows. But Tatars don't have Arbalest. So at some point, Dogao is going to have to start making Cav Archers, and I feel like this might be the moment to start the tech switch. He's going to have to do it at some time. Now, apparently an archer range here is denied, and that's actually very good from Miguel. Picks off a villager, denies an archer range, and delays the additional archers from his opponent. But here come the knights, here come the crossbows over here, and this is something that Brazil was gonna have to react to. Because otherwise, the knights and crossbows just walk into the base of Miguel. Miguel is waiting for this with a bunch of knights over here back at home, which might be enough to fight this one, trying to trap that army over there. Crossbows are in, but yeah, this is gonna force a lot of idle time on Miguel. And this is gonna be super interesting. Coinage from Dogao. So it is going to be slinging the cavalry player now, and that explains the free stables. And that explains the game plan for Brazil. Instead of making that hard tech switch from crossbows to cav archers, they're just gonna full sling the cavalry player. Very, very intriguing idea over here from Brazil, but super risky as well. It could work out, but it relies on being able to really do damage with a faster Imperial and Cavaliers for Miguel. Now, this army is trapped here, which is perfect for Brazil. You want to lower those crossbow numbers from the opponent as much as possible, because you don't want Lix to hit Imperial first and get Arbalests on the field. So, this is the moment where you probably send in the Knights to engage those guys, otherwise they will break out. Send in the Knights and engage. And the crossbows will actually try moving to the outside. Delete these walls, and you can actually take a good fight here if you are Brazil. You just need to delete the walls. Anyways, more knights are coming in from Dogao over here to Miguel's base. And remember, Miguel was off from gold for a brief moment, but they could actually smash this army over here relatively easily, if you ask me. So this could still work out very, very nicely, but there are some more knights in the base of Miguel, and that's something I don't like. I feel like this army is something that China is willing to sacrifice for the sake of letting those knights flood into the base of Miguel. And that is not good for Brazil. Like, these crossbows aren't needed here anymore. The knights can just clean up this army over here. And now, as I said, it is a ping from Dogao saying that, oh boy, there's actually trouble here. Second TC on the way for Miguel. Brazil still with the score lead, but there is considerable amount of idle time for Miguel, who needs to plug in the holes on his walls. And I feel like those crossbows need to find some use for themselves. Like, for example, pressure the gold mine of Lix, which is completely exposed to crossbowman aggression. Now, as I said, if Dogao is full slinging, he really needs like stone walls or just double layer walls like he's doing right now. And that really needs to start materializing, because I don't see that sling being or having any effect on the game so far. Alright. By the way, again, once I just want to point out that in probably 3 or 4 minutes, I will probably go muted for a brief amount of time, because I will have a phone call that I need to take. I pointed that out a couple of times before stream, so I just want to let you guys know that. So, yeah, you want to use these crossbows and trade it off against Lix's crossbows before Lix gets to Imperial. Because if Lix gets to Imperial here, then he's going to have Arbs, and Lix isn't far away from Imping. So this is the moment. Close the distance. You don't have the extra armor for the Gao's crossbows, which is far from ideal. But this is a beautiful fight for Brazil. Intercepting the crossbow reinforcements. Remember, these crossbows have thumb ring. The crossbows for Licks do not. So indeed, just focus down the crossbows. Exactly what Brazil needed here. It's so perfect. Dogao's gonna lose his army, but it doesn't matter because he's just going to sling. What matters is that Licks also lost his army, and suddenly a bunch of knights are in the face of Licks, with Licks having no forces to defend. And remember, Miguel is being slung into triple stable Hunnic knights, so it's faster production than triple stable Frankish knights, and knights will just bash their way through those walls very, very easily, so it's not like villagers can just reroll easily behind. And on the other hand though, oh boy, this is what I said, that you have to be sure that you're safe, because the slinging player is gonna have no defense if they run into his eco, and just this mistake from Brazil could cripple the entire game plan. Because Dogao has nothing to defend against this one, and knights are gonna rampage his eco, kinda crippling the sling. And it seems like Licks is able to defend against this one for now, until this moment. So we might see a cavalry player versus cavalry player fight over here, but Miguel is only 47 vills, Yo is 75. So if Dogao is not slinging Miguel here, then Yo is just gonna clap Miguel. Because Miguel doesn't really have his own eco to make knights, he is relying on Dogao to sling him. If you look at the overall villager count, China is actually having a slightly better vill count now. Quite a lot of crossbows on the field as well. For Licks, losing significant numbers though. Now they are going to clean this one up, so Dogao is back on track, but Dogao needs to do some heavy slinging here to Miguel to really make this work. Because I feel like Miguel's own eco is kind of weak right now. A lot of TC idle time for Miguel, like a huge amount. Look at that. All 3 TCs are idle, and he just doesn't have the eco to spam knights over here. Partially, as I said, because I feel like Dogao got hit pretty hard over here. But this is looking worse and worse for Brazil, because the slinging strategy doesn't seem to work. And if both Chinese players get into Imperial, which is very, very likely, then eventually we could see double, basically a 2v1 fight over here, and I like this from Dogao. He's gonna have a few crossbows denying that gold mine. Yo, by the way, is on 3 TCs. And, well, now it is Miguel's knights coming towards Mr. Yo's base. So, it could still be going pretty rough for Yo here. And, on the other hand, though, there is the crossbows, and that's a lot of army. That's a lot of army, and army numbers, it's much better for Team China. And this is where it gets really tough for Brazil. I don't think this sling strategy is gonna work. I really don't think that this sling strategy is gonna work. Because now, Miguel is under heavy pressure, and if you look at the army, Miguel has 23, Yo has 19, so pretty much comparable, but Licks has 32 army on the field still, and I don't think that Dogao's sling is doing enough here. Because it's still just triple stables versus triple stables, and Yo can just trade this one off here relatively easily, and this is not something that Brazil can clean up. China is gonna grab game number 1 here. Just watch. Because now, where is Miguel gonna run? He's gonna have a huge amount of villagers killed, and if you look at the ecos for China, this is looking much, much, much better now. For the Chinese team, they have to bring the knights back, but this gives a completely untouched play for Licks, who is not super far away from imping himself. Goes for 4 ranged crossbows, and if you look at Yo, he's making 4 stable knights, Miguel is making 3. So even with sling, Miguel isn't able to inflict that much damage, and Yo just alone, Yo alone has a huge eco, 96, and Yo actually reboomed very well into this one. I feel like this is going to be finished off by one of the players going into Imperial. Dogao needs to reroll that one ASAP, indeed. Bunch of knights arrive from Mr. Yo in this one. Alright, so big clash coming up over here. So, well, castle coming in here for Dogao, that's a nice position, but on the other hand, if you look at Lakes, he's gonna have more army on the field. Much better army numbers now for Team China. It is just way, way, way better. Alright, here's my phone call. So as I said, I'm gonna go mute for a couple of minutes. Right. Seems like my call is done already. Yeah, give me a moment. One more. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody, for the patience. I'm back. So, GG's in game number 1. Scores. Okay, scores are back. So, basically, the slinging strategies didn't work out because, well, eventually, you're just gonna get overrun by better numbers. That's basically it. Nice idea from Brazil, but it's not the way that it is supposed to be played, to be honest. So, well, if you look at the resources being spent, I'm actually super sorry for being a little bit more silent than normal. I'm just tracking a lot of things going on at the same time, but it should be done in like 10-ish minutes. So, well, if you look at the slung resources, it's a huge amount. Lixo slung a little bit of resources to Yo, but that's more like just to help out when Yo took some damage. Whereas for the Gao it was full sling, but it's not working out. You need to get a faster Imperial and get to good cavalry numbers to make this work, and that didn't happen. Yo and Lix were aggressive enough to lower Miguel's cavalry numbers and force him to make more cavalry over time, and Yo just outboomed Miguel at the end of the day. So, look at that. Alright. So, next up is Franks, Britons, gone. Very, very standard civilizations here. Tatars, interesting concept, but a little bit too ambitious to pull off. Let's say that. All right. So, we are gonna have Tatars and Huns. That also explains the Huns pick, by the way. Because if you pick Huns, you're gonna have faster working stables, and it helps when you're being slung. Because you just need to spend those resources as fast as possible. So, great idea from Brazil. It's just a matter of it's not gonna work out that way. Because you're just gonna get outnumbered in Castle Age. And we are apparently going to Team Islands in game number 2 over here. So, just 30 seconds remaining. And we are gonna have... Alright, so Celts and Teutons for Yo. Remember what I said at the beginning? That they have lost their Italians. They're just gonna go for civs that are like... basically, YOLO try something that is not with water civs and see what happens. But this is basically Yo and Lix not having any good water civs, so they're just going to use some civs that are not so useful for them on other maps. Or they have civs for other maps. Remember that they have Berbers, which could be good here, but they want to save it for Gold and Pit. So because of that, they're just gonna go for 2 civs that are like, okay, we're not gonna use these elsewhere. So it's Teuton Scouts. It might end up being a double landing. Japanese for Dogao. And the Portuguese for Miguel. So they're gonna go for the strong civs. This should be a massive advantage for Brazil over here. Because, well, they have the water civs, but never, like, you should never forget that there is always a chance for you and Lix to make games messy, and maybe even if you have like good water saves, it might not actually materialize. I like the Japanese pick, because you're gonna have good fishing eco, and if like China goes for double landing and little to no water aggression, you can just out fish boom and pretty much win the game that way. So let's take a quick look at what Teutons have on water, because it's not impossible you're always gonna go for water with Teutons, and theoretically they have everything but Bracer, Dry Dock, Shipwright. Teutons aren't the save that you want to play water with, to be honest. And for Celts, slightly better, but no Bracer, no fast fire ship. This might end up being a double landing and just a very aggressive play from China. So, being the back dock spot over here for Licks. So they're going for a back dock, which is understandable. If you're trying to land and don't want to fight water, then you probably do a back dock just for the safety of your fishing eco. And if you're Megandogao, what you want to do is void your base and go for like heavy fishing eco and just outboom your opponent that way. Because if you have an untouched fish boom, you're gonna have a way better resource income over time. So, the good news here is that while I'm actually dealing with the matters outside, we're gonna have no major engagement. Licks with Teutons, indeed. The reason why we're seeing that is relatively simple. So, they don't have their water sieves anymore. Italians was a pick by China, but they just weren't able to use it because Brazil sniped it. So they don't have any good water sieves. Well, they have Berbers, but they want to use it elsewhere. And because of that, basically, Brazil just took away the only reasonable sieve for them on water. And that's actually huge, and they are just playing civs that they don't want to use elsewhere, that's all. So, Teutons and Celts by no means are good water civs, it's just a matter of, you know, you need to use something over here, but China is kind of going into this game kind of feeling like, okay, we're gonna try something here with these civs, but don't expect any, like, super high level strategies. As I said, my expectation could be a double landing. Yo is doing side dock, we're gonna have back dock here for Licks once again. I greatly appreciate that you took the patience to let me do my stuff over here. As I said, I pretty much had to do something here real quick, and it was like something I couldn't delay or do in advance. And because of that, you know, I either had to cancel the stream or just do it while I'm streaming. It was actually a little bit challenging to try and keep pace with what is actually happening on the screen, but I greatly appreciate everybody who actually stuck around for this. Alright, so transport ship coming in here from Licks, no surprise about that. And it appears that Yo is going to play Fire Galleys, which might work out with Teutons at the beginning, or with Celts at the beginning. Celts are okay at water fighting, but they're not amazing. And look at this, Miguel and Dogao know exactly what's gonna happen. So you just void yourself and go for heavy fish boom. Now let's see what Dogao is going for. Dogao is playing Japanese and sending 4 on gold. Strong indication that you are gonna have Fire Galleys coming up from him. And for Miguel, he is going up and going for Brax. So they're gonna go for the 1 plays water, 1 defense against the landing type of a play here. But I would love to see Miguel voting himself as well, because Yo could do a lot of damage with scouts if that's not stubbed. There is the transport ship coming in here. Very, very close landing to the base of Miguel. And there is no villagers inside. Howdy ho. There is no villagers inside. And Yo is actually... Or Lix is fast castling this. Lix is doing a fast castle play. This is a huge deception by China over here. They land the scouts because that's what Brazil expects them to do. Everybody expects them to do the landing. So they land the scouts and make sure that their opponents notice them. They will try to pick off some villagers, and I think one thing that you are gonna have to notice is that Lix's scout is still slow, and Lix is still age 1, and that's something that Brazil has to realize, that Lix is playing a fast castle play here. And making a barracks now, he wants to land, but he wants to land with knights instead of scouts. I am starting to like this for China. Because the thing is that I think that Yo can actually hold the water against Dogao quite nicely with Celts in H2. And so the main problem here is that as one villager gets picked off, beautiful pick by China over there. If Lix is able to land with a stable and get knights out, look at that. He's chilling there on the coastline. He's chilling on the coastline with 2 villagers waiting for Castle Age to pop in. That's so smart. He's not waiting for Castle Age, he's waiting for Feudal to pop in so he can make the stable. He's gonna drop the villagers off, make the stable, makes the blacksmith at home, and that's gonna be a super interesting play from Teutons. I like that, especially considering Teutons are hard to convert, and this is why this is a genius play from China. I was doubting their game plan, but boy oh boy, it's so smart. And the reason, like, you could do anything else, like any other Civ. Oh no! Oh no, Lix! You can still jump into the, you can jump into the transport, pop out on the other side. Yeah, indeed, just jump in, pop out on the other side, and finish it off. But you have to finish it off. You have to finish it off, and that's gonna be already voled in here. Vols go up. Right now, Lix is trying to kind of do a kind of counter vol type of a thing, but their scouts aren't here. So if Miguel vols the same with stone vols, this isn't gonna work. The idea is great. The idea is absolutely amazing from Team China over here. And the reason why they are doing this with the Teutons is because it's harder to convert knights. If you're going for scouts, that conversion resistance doesn't matter. But when you're going for knights, it does matter. And China, picking off another villager. China is on beast mode today, and let's be honest, I expected 4-2 for China. We might see a little bit more one-sided series over here. Because now this is looking extremely good for China on water. Not so much here on land, but you're gonna have a Castle Age player for Lix, and do you know what that means? He could sling. He could sling if he goes 3 TC's boom, which could actually help out Yo win the water fight easier, or just try another landing, like over here. So, on the other hand, Dogao and Miguel are doing what they have to. Especially Miguel. Go for full fish boom. That's exactly what you want to do. If your opponent is not pressuring you on water, just go for the fish boom, and you can see that Miguel has 36 villagers, one of the best in the game, and, well, Yo is at 39, which is also nice, has quite a lot of fish boom over here, and here's the other stable, something that Dogao is going to see. He could pull the villagers to wall this one in once again, which would be like an amazing move as well. I think this might still be open here with the pause side, so if you delete that, you can actually unpop the knights and then transport them to the outside. It could still work, and that stable is gonna go up, and now knights are on the way. This is looking bad for Brazil. This is looking awfully bad, because it's not like Dogao is winning the water super decisively. Yo is close to clicking up the castle. Dogao, not so much. So Yo can just chill inside his docks for some time and get up to Castle Age a little bit faster. And now there is some knights on the field, knights that are going to be awfully hard to convert. We already have Miguel going up to Castle Age himself, but what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do against the knights? He can make pikemen, but the mobility isn't there. Transport trying to be sniped down by Dogao. That's actually beautiful teamwork from the Brazilians. Villagers will have to pop out, but the scouts will actually go for them. That's -2 villagers. But it doesn't matter, I believe. It doesn't matter that it's -2 villagers or not. Lix the quick waller, what is that? That was beautiful and marvelous. And now, even a monastery is coming in here for Lix to convert the knights that would be converted away from them. But, I mean, Lix is doing an excellent job with the Teutons here. It's just working out so well for them. Teutons turns out actually very, very good for the landing. And Yo, on the way to Castle Age, Dogao, not so much. So Yo is gonna have War Galleys first to win the water fight with it. And now, Knights could actually just gallop into the base of Miguel, hit him. But I think that the jackpot that you want to hit here is being able to get into Dogao's base. Because if you get into Dogao's base, then Yo is gonna win water. If Yo wins water, you are gonna be able to just kill the fishing eco from Miguel. So you want to help out Miguel. Or like against Dogao over here. Siege Workshop is coming in and we're just gonna see pretty much a Hoang Rush. Remember that. Hard to convert Knights. You're gonna have a Mangonels on the way. Even a Monk, even though that's gonna be a little bit exposed to that Scout. That's going to be a tricky micro. Monk could try to convert the Voyager. Indeed, Vululu is coming in here. And that's a Voyager converted. That's a Voyager actually converted. So... oh, nice quick quotes from the guy over there. We get Knights on the field from Miguel now that he's up to Castle Age, so I guess it's an even fight now, but those Knights are actually a little bit better. They don't have Bloodlines just like Miguel's Knights, but they have +1 attack and +2 melee defense because they're Teuton Knights. So, water fights, how are they doing? And this is what I was talking about, the better Castle Age time for Mr. Yo. He's gonna have War Galleys before Dogao would have War Galleys, and that's huge. Because Dogao is losing all his fleet now. Dogao is losing all his fleet, he could lose these galleys as well pretty easily, a battering ram is on the way, and Dogao has to defend, and meanwhile, Yo doesn't have to focus on defending. Yo can just do free TC boom and go for the War Galley play here relatively easily. Look at that, he's intercepting those galleys. It's so far away still for Dogao from Castle Age, and here is the GG China with surgical precision over here. That is looking extremely rough for Brazil. And now I understand why they tried the sling strategy first. I think Brazil kind of feels like they don't really have a chance if they play standard. And that landing from Lix was a genius idea. If it was scouts, it would have been bad. And I just love the game plan for the Chinese team here. Really. Because the scouts landing wouldn't have done enough damage. What does enough damage is superior Knights supported by a pretty strong food eco even on land. So even if you lose your fish, you have a strong food eco on land. Knights that are hard to convert, so it's not easy to defend against them with just 2 or 3 monks. And really, this is 10 out of 10 game plan for China. Credits to them, because they lost their Italian Civ, and honestly, maybe that was the game plan for them, even without, or even with Italians. Maybe it would have been Italians Teutons to do it the fast castle landing. Genius idea, I have to say. One of the best strategies and best ideas I've seen in the tournament. Because Teutons are just so suitable for this. You land with the Knights, they're hard to kill because they have extra melee armor. They are hard to convert, and you also are supplied by a strong food eco on land. So even if you lose your fish, it's not like it's the end of the world. Extremely well executed by Lix, and a genius strategy. I don't know which of the Chinese players came up with this strat, but it's actually marvelous. And Yo's KD can be attributed to Lix being extremely disruptive on land. So well designed for China. And we could be in for a short series here. Because it's 2-0. I actually expected 3.5 hours-ish for this series. We are about an hour into this series. And we have 2 games advantage for Brazil. I expected 4-2. Not so much. I'm not so sure if that's gonna happen. Because they're supposed to have a clear civ advantage. They had Portuguese and Japanese for water. And they lost to Teutons and Celts. This isn't looking good for them. Remaining home maps for Brazil A are Ghost Lake and Golden Pit. On the Golden Pit, you're gonna go Mayans, and that always is a strong play to do. And Slavs could be a pick for Golden Pit as well, because you want to flood knights in Castle Age, and the strong Slavic farming eco actually makes you suitable for that. And I feel like it's going to be Indians, Ethiopians, maybe, on Ghost Lake. I'm fairly certain the Indians is one of the civs, and this is the reason why I don't like the Indians. It's predictable. It's very, very predictable. And remember that Gods, as we have seen in the previous round, Gods is actually a counter pick to Indians on Ghost Lake. So if Brazil goes for Indians and let's say Ethiopians on Ghost Lake, Gods will be the pick here for China. And that God will actually counter the Indian play. So like Gods and maybe Kuman's Gods is a civilization combination that's like super strong here. And I would say that Kuman's slinging Gods into Huskars and Habadirs could actually work out well for China. Or Kuman's playing Kipchak as well. Whatever they do, I feel like China now has way better civs remaining, and that was kind of a must-win type of scenario for Brazil. And it's looking bad for the Brazilians. I feel bad for Brazil. And boy, like, China is looking extremely strong. We're going into Golden Pit over here. I'll have to restart my game. Because, well, it is what it is. I will have to get it restarted because, you know, sometimes the spectating button bugs out. But, well, restarting game, and we will be jumping into game number 3 here in a moment. We're going to Golden Pit. And on Golden Pit, I haven't seen the saves, so what are my expectations? My expectations are Berbers and maybe Aztecs or Chinese could work out nicely. If you want to use Aztecs anywhere, it might be on this map, to be honest. Other side, Mayans is a lock alongside Slavs, probably. That's my expectation for this one. All right. So, game is launching back, and we will be jumping into Golden Pit. Don't worry. There is 3 minutes spectator delay, so we're not going to miss anything. Finals will be best of 7 too. That's correct. Semifinals, third place game, and finals are all best of 7. You can do best of 9. The reason why you cannot do best of 9 is because you don't have enough civilizations. If you look at this Civ Draft screen, you have 35 civs either banned or selected, or 34, and there are 35 civs in the game. So you can't do 36, which would be needed for a best of 9. You just don't have enough civilizations for a best of 9 draft. That's why. Where is the lobby at? I don't see the lobby. Is it? That's actually bad. Let's see if they just restarted. Or what's up. Yeah, I mean, T90 isn't in there either. So I'm tempted to believe, yeah, no one is inside. So, Brazil is calling a restart. That's actually pretty bad, because we missed out on the restart. Unfortunately, not something I can do anything with, because I had to restart my game, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to jump inside. But Brazil calls a restart, and with that, they used up their only restart, I believe. So, China will still be able to call Brazil needs to win this game. It's a must-win for them. It's their second home map. Even if they win this, it's going to be an awfully hard scenario for them and an awfully hard challenge to overcome. China here. But, boy, if they lose this, they might actually go 4-0 here, because I feel like on Ghost Lake, China just has the perfect counterpick to Brazil. Brazil has been extremely good in the tournament so far, but China is looking like a hard nut to crack here. And if China continues to play like this, they're extremely good candidates to win the entire tournament. So, we are gonna have a game number 3 coming up here. In a brief moment, Miguel is playing Lithuanians and Dogao is playing Ethiopians. They're not going Mayans. This might be a very, very debatable decision. Berbers and Incas, I like that combination. Incas are basically your budget Mayans, and Berbers is the type of flood the nights type of a civilization. Interesting to see how Lithuanians are going to perform here. I can see them working, and I see why Brazil is picking it. Brazil is picking it because they want to have a castle age advantage. Berbers obtain that by using superior amounts of knights. Lithuanians obtain that by using better knights once they have the relics. So that's the plan here for Miguel. Ethiopians, once again, early castle age aggression. And that's basically what Brazil has on its mind. But not using Mayans here might actually backfire very, very badly, because Mayans is one of those civs that can easily swing the battle and the entire game in your favor just by having the Arbalest power spike. And that's huge. The fact that you can do that is something that is very, very rare for civilizations. And I feel like Mayans are one of the best civs for Golden Pit because of that right now in 2v2. Because if you go up to like Castle or Imperial in like 65, 70 villagers, get Obsidian Arrow Orbs, you're just gonna stimulate everything in the middle. And it's pretty much GG from that point on. Alright, so we are gonna have, in 1 minute, game number 3. After this series, we'll have Norway versus Spain. So far, this was a really one-sided series, but it's not because Brazil is playing, but it's because China is playing out of their mind. It's not just their execution being good, but their game plan is also pretty solid, I would say. Especially the fact that they could overcome losing Italians on Team Islands and execute a landing like that. The idea behind picking Teutons is just absolutely amazing, and something that is really showing that these players prepare for a tournament, and these players are coming up with ideas that not a lot of people think about, but are actually genius ideas. In fact, I would dare say that with the current way Teutons are played out, it might actually be one of the future landing civs. So once you see, let's say if you see a future 2v2 tournament where Team Islands is present, Teutons might actually be a strong candidate for a good landing civ. Of course, Teutons are strong elsewhere as well, but it's actually a very, very strong landing civ based on what we have seen. And that is because you can actually pull off a fast castle landing here, especially if your opponent is expecting landing, because that means that you only have to deal with one player on water. But anyways, we are back into the series, game number 3 over here after a restart by Brazil. We're gonna have Miguel on the left side as red Lithuanians, Dogao as Ethiopians in yellow. Right side is Berbers in blue for Yo, and Incas for Licks in green. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at this map over here. Remember, this Golden Pit generation is a lot more open than standard Golden Pit generation, so you can see that the 3 patches are kind of far away from the TC and kind of small, so it takes quite a lot of effort to wall your base. That being said, Miguel has a safe gold mine and berries over here, and he's gonna go for some very, very early board here. Miguel wants to have a very fast feudal. Like, this early board, which is basically the 5th villager bringing the board, is a strong indication that he wants to have like 6, maybe even 16 pop scouts. And the thing is that it is not impossible to void your base, but it's going to take some time. So very, very fast feudal play here could work out. But guess what? Lix has other plans. Lix is laming away 2 turkeys here, something that Miguel didn't notice just yet. And is Miguel going to give up on 2 of those turkeys? He shouldn't. Okay, here are the turkeys. He's going to get them back. Remember that he cannot fight against Dark Age Eagle with only a scout. And you can see that there is Dogao coming in here with his own scout to help out his teammate. But guess what? There is Yo as well. So they realize the Lithuanian player wants to go for a very aggressive and very fast feudal age, and they want to delay him as much as possible by laming away some sheep, forcing him to fight with his scout. And it turns out that 2 turkeys will be stolen here from Miguel. Miguel's already bringing in the second board. This is going to be a super fast feudal for him. His deer push is actually very, very far away, so this is not ideal by any means. And honestly, I'm not sure why they restarted the previous game, because we weren't able to jump into that. Oh, that's an awful spot to kill that boar at. Very unlucky for Miguel. So, maybe the reason why they called a restart was because, you know, the deer was far away. But that's not really the case. The guy's gonna go for a fast loom over here, so he's expecting an early drush from Yo potentially. But that's not really coming right now. Second boar is on the way as well for Dogao. And let's see how Lix reacts. Lix is bringing his second boar from a very, very far away distance. I'm not sure where that boar was, but that's a very, very far boiler. And we got a ping from Lix on top of the TC for Dogao. They know where Dogao is. Standard play 4 on wood for Dogao. And 3 only on wood for Miguel, pushing in the deer as well. As I said, he wants to have a really fast feudal over here. The deer being far out actually hurts this fast feudal here quite badly from Miguel. But I think the deer is arriving just in time. Indeed, that's like a perfect deer timing for that boar villagers. Anyways, Loom is coming in fast over here for Lix, so he's anticipating that fast feudal from his opponent. And for Yo, he's free on wood, so he's also going to play scouts over here. The Gao scout is lurking around. He could try a villager kill if this villager goes to war here somewhere, for example. Anyways, Barracks is up from the Gao, which means we're going to see what could be a Drush FC once again. Remember that Dogao tried a Drush FC in game number 1, actually worked out well, but he wasn't able to make the Sling strategy work. Maybe just pure Drush FC crossbows here are gonna work better for him. He's gonna hang housed for a moment, but he did take the tango, so this is either Drush Archers or Drush FC here for our yellow Brazilian player. Meanwhile, Miguel is already up. 18 a pop. Feudal isn't that super fast, to be honest. And Yo is at 19 villagers, but he doesn't have Loom. How is this possible? Oh yeah, well, Miguel has already cleaned up for quite a time, so that's probably the reason. But that is going to be a relatively fast feudal over here. Pretty tight build for Miguel to do. And there is the Barracks. If Lix can delay that Barracks by a tiny bit, that would be jackpot. He is going to see the Barracks, so he knows exactly that the Lithuanian player is up. He knows exactly that Miguel is up, and Miguel needs to quick wall that villager in so he can actually get that Barracks up untouched. Turns out that Lix doesn't want to harass, but Lix knows exactly that that's a scout's play, and ladies and gentlemen, Inca will rush in the semifinals. Inca will rush on Golden Pit in the semifinals. Because Miguel isn't the only player going up to feudal at 18 pop. Lix is doing the exact same thing. Lix is doing the exact same thing. Now, truth being told, I like Miguel's chances here quite well, because scouts fighting against villagers is actually better for Miguel. It's not good for Lix that he's gonna have to use 6, 7, 8 villagers to villager fight, whereas his opponent is just gonna play with scouts over here. But that being said, Miguel doesn't know about the tower. Soon he's going to realize he's getting real rushed. So Lix for now, he doesn't have any extra upgrades on those villagers. And there's a Drush coming into Lix's base. I don't like this for China. I don't think this is gonna work. Miguel can always go to a different wood line, even though that's not as safe as this one was. But once he has the scouts out, he could just intercept these villagers, and it turns out that this wheel rush is actually going to be directly towards Dogao, who, remember, is going a Drush FC. And with the Drush FC, he's exposed to towering. Now the responsibility is in the hands of Miguel to bring in his scouts and try to delay this wheel rush from happening. So, on the other side, Drush from Dogao isn't really doing a lot of damage, and what is Yo doing? Something that we didn't actually pay a lot of attention for. Seems like he is gonna play scouts based on the uptime, but that stable is quite late compared to what I would have expected, and that's actually great for Brazil. They're killing villagers here, they're killing the eagle, and remember, Lix right now has 5 idols because of this. 5 idols, plus you have to commit a bunch of villagers to stone. Villagers could be exposed to a Drush on the berries, and if you compare it to Miguel, Miguel has good eco. Miguel has an absolutely operational eco, and what you could do right now if you are what you could do if you're Dogao is to delete this house and you could allow your teammate scouts to get in here. So they could actually clean that one up. For now, they will decide not to. Dogao is up to feudal age, but because the tower is up, this means that he's gonna have 2 of his farms denied. And if 2 of the farms are denied, you're not gonna have the food to go straight into FC. So that's gonna be a little bit tricky for Dogao. He's gonna replace the lumber camp because he realizes that his wood line is gonna get towered at some point. And nice contingency walls for the time being from Dogao. And it turns out that Miguel is just going to go straight into the base of Lix. It's very unlucky from Brazil that they didn't actually kill any villagers on the berries of Lix. But for now, I feel like Miguel is pretty much untouched. So it's a matter of what can Yo do in this one. And the answer is Yo is bringing in the scouts. Now, that being said, these guys aren't really going to be able to get through these layers of walls easily. And, well, you could still see Miguel just bringing back his scouts to his base or just killing the eco of Lix. Remember, Lix has +1/+1 on these villagers, but still, I mean, fighting with villagers against scouts is never going to be efficient by any means. So Lix is losing quite a lot of villagers. He has a lot of idols here as well. So I don't think this is really gonna work for China, at least the Will Rush part. Maybe Yo can do some carrying, but the fact that Lix is down to 23 villagers tells a lot about how this game is going on right now. So, counter tower now coming in here for Dogao. As I said, his castle age is going to be delayed, but not by a massive margin. So, I think Dogao is still going to be fine. A little bit low on food, and I think the play here for him is just to send a little bit more on gold and up with the market probably and sell some gold or buy some food to get up. That being said, Miguel is actually very close to finishing his walls, but it might not be in time. Scouts are coming in, and the scouts are in. One of them is weak, but that is still scouts. Inside your base if you're Miguel, and that's not great for him. His scouts are far away from helping, and he's gonna have to make a defensive spearman to do this one, indeed. Here it comes, and it's -2 wills for Miguel. Disaster. It's full disaster now for Brazil. They were actually in a good position stopping this Will Rush. Not anymore. Now look at this. Dogao is actually quick walling in the tower of his opponent to prevent his opponent from actually repairing it, and simultaneously, he's actually walling off this exit passage. He's just trying to trap Lix's villagers, and he's doing so. He's actually trapping Lix's villagers here for the time being. They will take that tower down, and it turns out Dogao is going to turn this into a Drush into archers because he's not going to have the food for Drush FC. Spearman should be able to make sure that those scouts don't get in there. Not ideal for Miguel, but I mean, he's going to get over it for now. But look at Yo, and that's huge. Yo is just going up to feudal or castle age here in a matter of seconds, and he's going to have the cheap Berber Knights on the field. Miguel isn't even close to clicking up. He's not even close to clicking up to castle age here. And once again, China is gonna have an advantage in this one, because Dogao wasn't able to get his Drush FC really in thanks to Lix delaying him, and apparently we're gonna have some more towers in the face of Miguel. What Lix is doing here is delaying 2 players, exactly what he did in the previous Islands game. Just delaying 2 players with the Will Rush, allowing Yo to get to good night numbers, and Yo is gonna have good night numbers here very, very soon. This tower is actually pretty nice because it's going to deny the gold and harass that stone as well. And boy, Lix is playing extremely good. And when we get into this tournament, one of the questions that I had was how good Lix can perform. Because we have seen how good Yo can perform in tournaments, but we haven't seen Lix performing extremely well, consistently, in all the tournaments. He has had some good tournaments, he has had some bad tournaments, but now I think he is really showing that he can actually perform at the highest level in any tournament, and what he's doing is basically allowing Yo to do whatever he wants. And look at that, Yo is gonna have an untouched play going into castle age here, triple stable Berber Knights, and that's gonna steamroll everything. I mean, Miguel is gonna click up, but we also have to remember that even if Miguel gets up to castle age and makes knights, Yo can make camels. Archers are here, but it's too late. Look at that. Dogao actually had a slower castle age than Yo, mainly because Yo was untouched and Dogao was under pressure. Yo is going to place a TC in the middle, probably untouched as well, and now start heading towards the base of Dogao. Yeah, Lix absolutely knows his place in a team, and he isn't tasked with easy things. He's tasked with different things. Pulling off a good wheel rush so that you don't lose that many villagers and able to harass two players is hard. And he's doing it well. And now it's going to be full knights coming in, and look at the base of Miguel. He is just look at this. Bunch of farms being denied. Lix is being so annoying with the wheel rush. And what this is helping Yo is Yo is gonna have +1, +2 knights, free Berber stables flooding out those cheap knights. Now, there are some defensive spearmen. Actually, no, these are not defensive spearmen. These are the spearmen of Lix. There's nothing that Miguel can do against those knights. Knights will just run past and hit the gold mine. This game might be over here. This game might be over here because what is exactly Miguel gonna do? He's gonna make some knights himself. Those knights will not have the upgrades that Yo has. There are some spearmen that are also here to kill them. And I mean, the villagers just ran past the tower TC, and they're gonna drop a tower on the other gold mine. This game is so over. Miguel is out of this game, and it's not like Dogao can actually turn it around because he's gonna have the crossbows. But you can defend against that one with Siege Workshop, or you can just overrun them with knights, because knights in early castle age would just be superior to crossbows, because you just get a lot more value and a lot more tankiness for a knight than you get for a crossbow. Like, these crossbows could be threatening, but you could just pull like 10 knights and clean this one up rather easily. Meanwhile, if you look at Dogao's food eco, he's gonna have to delete all the farms and go back to farming here, just because there were some towers from Lix. And Lix could still drop a tower here and deny that wood line, but it doesn't really matter. I believe Miguel is at 31 villagers, no gold income, no nothing. I mean, Miguel's eco right now is looking like 4 on food, 0 on gold, 8 on wood. And, like, that's not gonna happen. Like, he is pretty much dead. Crossbows are inside the base of Yo, but there's a difference. Yo can pull an army and clean this one up, whereas Miguel cannot. And that's a huge difference. Yo is under heavy pressure here, and it's not ideal for him that he's taking so much damage. But at least he can clean this one up. Or can he? Yo is losing way too much over here. He's got 30 idols. He's at 41 wheels. But if you compare, I mean, Miguel is at 27 wheels. So yes, Yo is taking a significant beating here. But Miguel is at 27 wheels. And it's not like Miguel is gonna get back to good villager numbers anytime soon. And these knights could just now go and intercept the reinforcements from Dogao. Here is the big fight coming in. I'm not sure if this many knights are going to be enough. We'll have to see. But when Yo gets back to his eco, he will still be at 39 villagers and Miguel will be at just 27. Now there are more knights coming in here, so maybe those knights can actually inflict some more casualties on the wood line or so. And honestly, remember, Lix has no supporting army. This is actually comparable to the first game that Brazil did. It's 2 players with army against 1 player with army. I think Lix might need to start being a factor here. Lix cannot sling because he's still in feudal age. So it is in Yo's hands to clean this one up. He can clean this one up, but it's not easy. And he's also down to 38 villagers. And if you actually compare, like, Mika's at 28, but there is a 45 villager archer player out on the field. Oh, look at the tower coming in here from Lix once again, just denying the wood line. Being so annoying, and now this cleanup should signal the end of this game, or at least being very, very close to the end, because Miguel is like ultra mega dead right now. No gold, no food income for him, so he's not making knights. And in the meanwhile, Yo is gonna be flooding the map with more and more knights. He could try just getting into the eco here. And remember that Dogao is gonna have to expand to the middle very soon because he is running out of that gold mine right now. He will try TCing that other gold, but that's exactly what Yo is anticipating. That being said, that's quite a lot of crossbows out there, and Yo is at 43 villas. He could lose a lot more than this, but Lix is also clicking up to Castle Age. He could go Sling, or he could go for Eagles, because it's just the crossbows to fight against, and I think that this fight is kind of showing what we have seen in this entire game. Oh boy, and now the guy is without gold. He is without gold, and that should be the end of the game. Because even if he kills a bunch of villagers from Yo here, Yo will be able to eventually clean this one up with knights, and meanwhile, I don't see Yo or Dogao being able to clean this one up, and Lix is on the way to castle. So, when Lix is in castle, he's gonna start making eagles. And the eagles will eat the crossbows, and there is no knight support. That's the problem. There is no knights supporting Dogao's crossbows, so eagles can work out just as fine. Lix is trying to tower those villagers in there. Dogao's gonna get the TC up, but I mean, he's down to 34 villagers here. Yo is also losing a lot of vills, though. Yo is down to 38 himself, but this is the moment when I think Lix is just supposed to snowball this. Like, at this point, Lix is pretty much having an untouched eco back at home. He can just go and snowball this one with eagles, and that's probably what we're going to see from him. Knights cleaning up the crossbows. Lix's free army. Yo's gonna have still probably like 15-ish army left. Might even delete the lumber camp to take this fight. We'll see. No, he can get a good surround without that. And now, this is the moment where Lix is supposed to go for eagles, right? No, he's going coinage. So he's gonna sling Yo. That's also a reasonable thing to do. I feel like it's a little bit more dangerous. But if Lix is slinging Yo well, Yo can just flood the map with knights. Same thing as before. I could have understood if Lix goes for eagles, but maybe they believe that it takes a lot of time to get into good eagle numbers with good techs. So they will just go for the sling. Doesn't matter, because once both players are up in Castle Age, I feel like Miguel also understands that his eco is just an absolute ruins, and a shocker so far. It's absolutely a shocker that we are having a 3-0 here for China. I expected China to be good, but I mean, Brazil has had some strong games, like real strong games. And if you remember, Miguel being open to those scouts actually hurt so much, and once again, I feel like it's in the hands of Lix. Lix being able to delay both players like that is just huge. It's absolutely enormous. And, well, maybe we're gonna have a 4-0 here. And, like, that will actually make China an extremely good candidate to win the entire tournament. If you can 4-0 Brazil here, then you are gonna have a very good shot at either Norway or Spain. Coming at you, we will have Ethiopians, Lithuanians gone, and we will have Berbers and Incas gone. And here's the problem. We're going to Ghost Lake. And if you pick Indians here, like Indians, Mayans, let's say, or I think it's Indians, Vietnamese, that's the plan. Because I believe that they wanted to do Vietnamese to battle Britons, but they didn't expect Britons to be picked on Arabia. So here, it should be Goths and Cumans, I believe, for China. Especially if you account for the fact that Scandi will be Mongols and Persians, probably. Or Nomad could also be Persians. So, either way. Another one-sided series? Well, don't quit on it just yet. We still have a chance to have a completely close series, but you can see that my prediction was 4-2 for China, and it's not delivering it just yet. It's just not delivering it. It is so far a huge stomp by China over here, and we're going into Ghost Lake with what could be the final series, and we have no Indians pick here. I actually like that from Brazil, because I don't think Indians would have been the right play. We have Slavs and the Mayans versus Cumans and Aztecs. This is tricky, because I prefer Cumans as a cavalry civ over Slavs, but I prefer Mayans over Aztecs as an archer civ. So this is going to be a tricky one to look at. One thing to point out is that gods weren't used here. So that means that that Brazil, like, if China anticipated Brazil picking Indians here, they probably would have picked the gods themselves. But it appears that they anticipated Brazil not to pick the Indian Civ here. And turns out that they're going to have a fairly reasonable matchup over here. This map is pretty much all about Volov and then Drush FC, or maybe even Naked FC, or with Kuman's 2TC Boom. So I feel like Miguel is going to have to play maybe Naked FC triple T, or at least has to add the second TC, but I actually prefer Kuman's over that. On Arena, you can actually combat the Kuman double TC Boom with the FC free TC Boom. But here, not so much, because free TCs might be a little bit too greedy here, and Palisade Walls might leave you exposed to aggression if you do free TC Boom. So it's not as clean as you would expect. Anyways, Dogao coming in here with Mayans. He's gonna be on the left side in yellow. His teammate is pretty close to him, Miguel, as Slavs in red. Right side is Aztecs for Lixi in green, and we're gonna have Kumans for blue, Mr. Yo. So this map is generated in a manner that the primary goal for each player is on the front. So this is going to be exposed no matter what, even though I feel like Dogao's primary goal is actually probably the best in the map, but you should have a relatively safe goal. Remember, Brazil has no more restarts available, and China does. So China could call a restart, Brazil, not so much. So, as I expected, Yo is just gonna Vol himself. One thing that also helps with Kumans here is that the Kuman Palisade Vol HP bonus is actually a team bonus, which means that your teammate is also gonna benefit from that, and that helps quite a bit when you're talking about being safe for what is probably going to be a Drush FC with Aztecs here. Aztecs don't even have to mine extra gold to do a Drush FC. In this one, they have a nice little back gold over here, and then probably we're just going to see archers from Lix. A little bit more ambitious play could be Eagles, but that's quite dangerous, and I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like you just go for a traditional archer play here. Kumans, I prefer them over Slavs as a cavalry civ on this map, but I also prefer Mayans over Aztecs as an archer civ. And here is Yo, they want to finish this series and block that board away. Unsuccessful at doing so. Miguel isn't going to lose that Voyager, but they tried it, and you can see that China wants to 4-0 this. They feel that there is blood in the water. They feel that they can actually finish this series off here if they play aggressive, if they force Miguel Dogao to make a mistake or so, and they could go 4-0 in this one if they are successful at that. Anyways, Lix is gonna bring in the second board over here for the time being. And what do we have? We have a Miguel aiming 2 sheep away from Yo here. So he's trying to take some revenge on his opponent. And oh, that's actually good for Dogao. He could have killed that Voyager, but turns out that Yo is just running back with it. Oh no, Dogao. That hurts so much. Eating a bunch of damage on that Eagle. And now he's down to 14 HP. If that was a full HP Eagle, they could have actually killed it. But Yo! Mr. Yo! What a beast! Oh man. I mean, Brazil is trying everything, but what can you do when things like that happen? Surgical precision from Yo. Trapping that scout. He's gonna have 1 HP will here, but he saved it. I mean, Yo is on fire today, but also Lix is playing amazing. Lix is playing amazing. I would dare to say just as good as Mr. Yo. He's doing what he has to with very cool precision, and so far, the more I look at these games, the more I feel like we're getting close to a 4-0 here. Because right now, China is just dominant, and whoever China gets in the finals, it's going to be awfully hard for that team to fight this Chinese team, because they are really on point, both with strategies and with execution. Yo is gonna push in some deer as well for himself, probably planning to do either 20 pop or has one more Villa queued up, so probably 21 pop. A 2 TC boom over here. We're gonna have Drushes coming in here from both Dogao and Lix, although Lix's Brax is a little bit late over here, so I wonder if this is a Man-at-Arms play, and it is. It's probably gonna be a Man-at-Arms play because Lix is going for Loom as well, and late with the Wars. So we are going to see a Man-at-Arms Archers play from Lix here. Interesting idea. I like Dogao's Drush FC a little bit better, because especially with Mayans, you could actually do quite a lot of damage with those boys in early Castle Age. Cheap archers, we have a strong eco, so I just prefer the Drush FC here for the guy. I'm not sure why we would see Man-at-Arms here from Lix. Actually, now he's adding some farms, so maybe he's gonna go Drush FC, just he was late with the barracks. This is a very late Drush, but as weird as it sounds, this might be kind of a defensive Drush. So you don't really want to attack your opponent, you just expect a Drush from your opponent, so you make your own militias, so you can trade it off. Look at that. It's not even 3 militias, not even 4, it's 5 militias. All Lix is doing here is just, okay, I know I'm Aztecs, this is old patch Aztecs, so you are gonna have a slightly better eco than Mayans, so you can just, you know, say, okay, I'm gonna go defensive militias, wall myself off, and I'm gonna be a happy boomer over here. Now this is an opening, and that's something that Lix didn't scout, so that's actually a mistake from him. And now Drush is chasing each other. We got Feudal Age for Miguel, who is gonna do a Feudal Boom. He's not making a barracks, which means he's not gonna make a stable. What Miguel is doing is that he wants to get up to Feudal Age fast, gets Horse Color, that gets double bit axe, and just boom up to Castle Age. Not make a single scout, which might actually bring you to have a stronger eco than you would have if you just went for a naked F fast castle here. So I actually like it for Miguel. This is like a scouts build without scouts. And remember that having the horse color in allows you to drop the farms a little bit earlier, and you're gonna have the Slavic farming. So I actually like this game plan for Miguel over here. His eco might be comparable to Yo's for some time at least, because if you look at Miguel, he's already having a bunch of farmers out on the field, and it's gonna take quite a lot of time until Yo finishes that TC. That's actually a beautiful TC spot, by the way, for Yo. So for now, the rush for Lix isn't really achieving anything. Same thing for Dogao. And it appears that Lix is clicking up very late over here. Maybe it was an overinvestment into militias, because he invested into 5 militias here, which is delaying his Feudal Age, and it's going to delay his Castle Age quite immensely. He's clicking up at Surivils. Dogao went with 28, and his Mayans, so that's actually just 27. Anyways, it's actually downhills bonus applied to these militias, so they're actually attacking that wall downhills, which is always nice to have. Other side, double TC play for Yo's Kumans. And, well, that's basically what you would expect. So for Dogao, he just needs to get up to Castle Age here. See, he's just capitalizing on the farming eco of Slavs. And then drop at least one more TC. He's going to be behind compared to Yo in terms of voyage numbers, but he has to compensate the Slavic farming. Over here, Dogao, Blacksmith, and Archer range. So, standard Rush FC build here from Dogao. And for Lix, he's gonna be fully walled and on the way to Castle Age once he builds the 2 buildings as well. He should have the food eco. Maybe he's gonna buy 100 food based on his resources. Although, if he buys 100 food, then that's gonna be a market. If he places a market, then he's not gonna go archers though. We'll see how that goes. Let's see, range. So if it's range, it has to be blacksmith, and that means that he's not buying food. He's gonna have to squeeze it out of his farming eco. Alright, so double TCs for our Kuman player, and for Dogao, he's already on the way to Castle Age. Cheap archers will really benefit him over here, and he's gonna have a chance to try and hit Lix here at the beginning, but I don't think he's gonna be able to inflict a lot of damage. Looking at Miguel, He's getting close to clicking up the castle. He is behind by 3 actually 10 villagers already. That's crazy. The Kuman boom here is just ridiculous. I mean, you have Slavic farming, but does that compensate for 10 villagers? It's brutal. It is just brutal. Anyways, Dogao is gonna have the archers out on the field, and it's a real question, where is he gonna go? Right now, Yo is chilling, full chill mode, just booming. And meanwhile, for Lix, he's gonna play archers. He's just going to try and match the archer numbers of Dogao, and that's gonna work nicely until Tumbling kicks in for Dogao. Because Tumbling is going to be something that Aztecs don't have, and that's where they are going to struggle a tiny bit. But I feel like what they want to do is just have the Kuman player snowball this one with cavalry. Because Yo is at 45 villagers. Castle Age is coming in here for Miguel. He's gonna have better Castle Age time, so he's gonna have the stable out faster. And I believe that this is something that China sees, right? Do they see the second stable? They do not see the second stable, but they can assume that it is coming up very soon and that Miguel is going up to Castle Age. So for Yo, he needs to wall this one off, like add a double layer, just for the sake of being safe from early knights. Crossbows are on the way as well, and Dogao could actually try to bash his way through these walls. Remember, these walls have more HP, and that's where the Kumans really kick in here. Because you're relying heavily on your palisade walls for this one, so being able to have a slightly higher HP palisade wall is actually very nice, but the barracks is gonna be denied, and it hurts for Yo. This hurts very, very badly, because this is going to delay his progress towards knights a tiny bit, not by a massive margin, but it is still a little bit of delay being forced over here on Mr. Yo. We got Miguel on the way to Castle Age. In fact, he has just reached it, and he is gonna have +2 defense knights coming in very soon. I think that Yo is doing the right thing here, just revolting this one, gets the barracks up, and he's gonna be able to get his knights out on the field pretty soon. And meanwhile, Lix, he's just marching back at home with the archers. Triple ranges actually for him. I like this play that the militias are kind of just exploring, running around, see if Dogao is trying to flank in this direction, and now the crossbows could go to the base of Dogao and try to hit that wood line. Dogao is on 2 TCs. We're gonna have a second TC coming up here for Miguel, but Yo has 56 villagers compared to 33 for Miguel. But here is trouble for Yo. Crossbows actually find a way inside. Apparently there is a hole somewhere around over here. And now knights will be in as well. Yo is gonna have to make a defensive tower, and Yo is heavy on stone over here. I wonder why. Maybe he's just gonna sell it, because right now he doesn't have the capacity to make or gather food. But yeah, I feel like this pressure is actually really hitting Yo here hard. That hole is really killing Yo. I think the hole is in between the barracks and the house over there. Anyways, knights will run past, and this is still not perfect for for Yo over here. He's going for bloodlines. I feel like he could actually go camels here, because number 1 priority is to clean up these knights. So you clean up these knights first, and then you go for the crossbows. But Yo is under heavy pressure here. Lix needs to help out. Lix is here with the crossbows, but I feel like Yo kind of lost a significant portion of his eco advantage here. He's still at 60 vills, and that's not something to underestimate, compared to Miguel, who is at just 39. And if these knights get cleaned up, this is still an advantage for Team China. They do have the score lead as well. Indeed, in fact, those guys are gonna get trapped in here. It's a trap. There is going to be one more villager being killed. Remember, this gold mine is inaccessible right now for Yo, and indeed, as Pred is saying, that this is the dark side of the Kuman boom. If they get through your walls, you are toast. And this is why I said that I would have preferred Yo being double layer wall, because these palisades are stronger than ordinary, but they're still something that knights and crossbows will be able to break through. Now, that being said, if you look at the villager counts, this is still very, very good for Yo. So now he's gonna be able to go double stable knights. He's gonna have some trouble getting the upgrades in, and I think that it is in the hands of Dogao to snowball this one now. Because here's what Mayans can do. they can go obsidian arrows. And just like in the case of, let's say, Golden Pit, here it's the same thing. If the Gao is untouched, he can do like 70-ish villagers uptime and just go and snowball everything with obsidian arrow orbs. And right now it's +2 defense knights for Miguel. They're forcing back China into the base. Yo is not gonna be able to make that TC, and that's going to delay his access to that gold mine to quite significant time. And what is this giving Dogao? This is giving Dogao time. This is giving Dogao time to play free TCs and really just get to the critical point where he can get obsidian arrow orbs. And if he does that, he's gonna be able to steamroll everything, because there will be nothing that can really stop that from China right now. And also, crossbows cannot get in here right now from the lakes. Yo is getting smashed here, and if you look at the villager numbers, it's not so great for Yo now. He still has the villager lead, but if you account for the fact that Miguel is also on 2 TCs and Miguel has Slavic farming, plus Miguel has an untouched eco, it's probably comparable. So, with the power of Slavic farming and with the strengths that just aren't getting pressured, it's actually pretty good. Yo, or Dogao is sending 5 on stone. And 5 on stone means that we are gonna have a castle in the near future. But that's actually a good fight for China for now. That's a lot of crossbows. But remember, this Dogao could actually go for tumbling himself. His army is a little bit more cost efficient as well, is because it's cheaper. And there are +2 defense knights coming in here to help out. Yo only has +1 defense. This is looking very good for Brazil. And maybe they're not gonna go 4-0 here, because this is a beautiful cleanup. And remember, when you're the archer player, preserving your numbers is huge and extremely important. And that's exactly what we're seeing from Dogao here. Dogao never really lost any army. He's got 8 losses in total compared to 33 kills. And meanwhile, look at this. Not just running past the tower, just go in, kill vills, harass the gold income of Yo as much as possible. You got a castle up on his face. But now it's going to be tumbling for Dogao. He's gonna have better crossbows than Lix is gonna have. He's gonna have better numbers. And if you look at Miguel, he also has better army right now compared to Yo. And it's just a 7 villager lead now for Yo. Miguel has caught up in terms of villager numbers. Miguel has the power of Slavic farming. And Dogao is also ahead compared to Lix. Score even flipped. And this is the game to win for Brazil. They have to win this one if they want to stay in the tournament. And they are in a good position to win it. There is still an opening here, I believe. So we could see quite a lot of villagers getting killed by Lix, or getting killed from Lix. Remember, these guys now have tumbling, so this is definitely a fight that Dogao could take, even though he doesn't have the +2 armor. But I would love to see Miguel even sending some resources to Dogao. Just get up to Imperial, get obsidian arrow orbs. And if you do that, you're gonna melt everything. In fact, I could make an argument for Dogao sending some more vills to stone, getting that castle up faster, and even going for obsidian arrows in castle age. So you can actually force fights. If you go obsidian arrow crossbows here, you can force fights and take down these ranges. Over here, it seems like we're gonna have a push on the backside of Yo's base, hitting that gold mine. Yo now has control over this one, but if you look at the villager numbers, see something? Lix has a very low vill count, because he went 1 TC. And the original plan would have been to have Mr. Yo having really the eco approach, and Lix just trying to make sure that Dogao's crossbow numbers are low. But in reality, Dogao went for free TCs, and Yo wasn't able to get an eco advantage here because he was just under heavy pressure. He's got +1, +2 knights, and that's a lot of them. But, as I said, Dogao, on the way to Imperial in a matter of seconds, he's rushing up what is gonna be a monastery just to have the buildings, and he's gonna click up and probably maybe even buy himself a castle. Or if he's not buying a castle, just gonna send a few more villagers to stone. And he could actually deny that TC if he arrives on time. Big fight over here. The knights from Miguel are trying to block the knights from Yo. You need to get a good surround of the crossbows with your knights. So I think that Yo is doing what he has to. You have to surround the crossbows here and not just fight knight versus knight. This is a good fight for China. This is a very, very good fight for China. And Yo is flooding a lot of knights. Dogao must not lose this army. If Dogao gets Arbalest, he's gonna be able to win the game here. Because Arbalest, obsidian arrows, he's gonna melt everything here. He's just gonna go for Lix's gold mine and finish off Lix completely. But if he loses this army, it's going to delay his Arblast play immensely. Yo, not there in Imperial just yet. Same thing for Lix. You don't stop Arblasts with Castle Age Army, that's for sure. Knights will die to Arbs, especially Thumbring Arbs and the numbers that Mayans can field with the cheap army composition. And crossbows will also die, so it's a very, very short amount of time until Yo and Lix can do damage, and they're going for Miguel now, something that they have to do. I think Miguel can hold this one. He's got 15 knights on the field, Yo has 18 knights and 26 crossbows coming in here. But I feel like this is a fight where Miguel is gonna be able to trade relatively even. So, especially if +2 attack comes in here for him. He's gonna be able to trade evenly here, and appears that the crossbows will come in to help. So, they want to take this fight. Remember, they have Thumbring, and those crossbows from Lix do not. Maybe a little bit of a premature fight, but it kind of is the safe play for Brazil, and it's gonna be a big, big, big cleanup. In fact, it's a huge cleanup here from Brazil. They're just melting everything, and Bracer Arblast is coming in. Obsidian Arrows should arrive very soon, and moment of truth here for Brazil. This is the moment where they have to win the game. Just bring in the Arbs straight to the base of Lix and finish him off, but Lix isn't even going to wait here. He's going to tap out, realizing that he's got 55 Voyagers, and there is a Mayan player in Imperial. They know exactly what is going to happen. They will lose this fight, they will never be able to take good fights, and if Yo was close to Imp, it could be fine, because Cavaliers could still trade well against these Arbs, but Yo would need some more time to get the resources, and it takes like 3-4 minutes for him to get up to Imperial, and during that time the guy would just destroy these houses, march in, and finish it off. Like, when the Mayan player gets up into Imperial, you have like 2-ish minutes to get yourself to Imperial and get an army that can actually match and trade against the Mayan army. If you don't do that, they will just get to your base and steamroll everything with Obsidian Arrows. And Brazil, not going down easily. My prediction was 4-2 for China. We're getting close to that. Brazil wins only 1 out of their 3 home maps, and this is where it gets troublesome. If they want to have a chance of winning this series, they need to be able to win all the games on the opponent's home maps, and I can assure you, China's gonna go Nomad now. Probably the best home map for China. Something that Miguel and Dogao aren't that great on. They're good on Nomad, but not as amazing as China is. China is super strong on Nomad, and that's going to be a very, very hard matchup for Brazil over here. Cumans and Aztecs are gone, and Slavs and Mayans are gone. So for Brazil, I guess if you are talking about Nomad now, you're talking about Burmese Vietnamese maybe. Burmese Vietnamese would be more than legitimate to play Nomad with. On the other side, Spanish is one of the civs. I think you are preserving Persians for Scandi. So Spanish Bulgarians isn't a bad idea, as weird as it sounds like. Because, like, Bulgarians could be reasonable anywhere, basically. But you still have Chinese, but Chinese isn't as great for Nomad Civ anymore, now that they only get their villagers once you have the TC up. Persians, like, Persian Spanish is good for Nomad, but what are you gonna do on Scandi then? Like, Scandi is gonna be Mongols and something. I think Mongols, Persians for Scandi. Spanish and something here for Nomad, and probably Magyars Chinese will go for Valley. Because that's a very, very standard map, so you need an Archer Civ and a Cavalry Civ, and Magyars and Chinese are good for that. Scandi goes Mongol Persians, so you either go Spanish Bulgarians or Spanish Goths here. Other side, Burmese should be a lock. Burmese Vietnamese could be the plan. I think Valley is gonna have Indians. So Valley is like Indians and an Archer Civ, like Indians Koreans or Indians Biz. Either works. I think Scandi is gonna be Byzantines because you get better fire galleys. So like Scandi Biz, Koreans for Valley, alongside Indians and probably Malians for your cavalry civs. which leaves Nomad with Burmese, Malay, and Vietnamese. I think if it's between Malay and Vietnamese, you pick Vietnamese because you want to know where your opponents are. And information is super valuable on Nomad. So Burmese, Vietnamese could actually be nice here for Brazil. We'll see. I can see Vietnamese being useful on any other map as well as a pure archer civ, but maybe they want to play the information game, and for that, as I need to restart my game here, for that, Vietnamese is actually extremely valuable. One of the biggest things that you get with Vietnamese is knowing where the opponent's theses are, and that makes them a reasonable civ on Nomad. Alright. So, with that, we are gonna have game number 5 over here. It is Nomad, the home map of Team China. And once my game restarts, I'll be able to jump inside and see what is up in terms of civilizations. So far, this series is interesting because first 3 games were pretty much stomps from China, but it's not like it's not like a Brazil is playing bad. It's just China being very, very good. After this series, we are gonna have Norway versus Spain, something that is like probably an even more interesting series than this one, even though this was so far an intriguing series, surprising from many aspects, and it's far from being over. But Brazil has to win 3 games in a row to win this series. And that's going to be awfully hard, especially Nomad. I feel like Nomad is the hardest challenge to overcome for Brazil, because Chinese team is just so strong on Nomad. Alright, we're gonna jump into the next game. Brazil also doesn't have any more restarts available, and we have Burmese Malians play interestingly here from Brazil. That's actually alright, because Malians are great on Nomad. What I don't necessarily like about that is that if you use Malians here, you are not going to have a good cavalry civ for Valley. So that's going to be a tough thing to overcome. But anyways, we are going to have Nomad over here. We have Miguel as red Burmese here, and Dogao yellow Malians very close to Lixin Persians in green, and we are going to have Yo as Spanish in blue. So my predictions on civs were a little bit off here. They're going to go for Persians, which is completely understandable, to be honest. 2 very, very strong Nomad civs here for Team China. It appears that Lix and Dogao will be very, very close to each other, so I expect Tower's aggression. Both players do have safe stones that they can easily take, so we could see Tower Wars here quite easily. And we also have the 2 fast castle players very close to each other here. Both players with stone access, but Miguel's stone is a lot worse than Yo's stone. Yo, especially with Spanish, could actually tower the hell out of Miguel here. Miguel doesn't really have a lot of places to go. This is so tricky. Normally you pick Burmese and Spanish here because you want to have Fast Castle Ramba and Fast Castle Conquistador. But I can see Yo with Spanish going for towers because he's got a safe stone, he can deny this stone easily, and Miguel doesn't have a lot of places to run to. So Miguel could actually get towered here pretty hard, and guess what? Spanish with the faster building Voyagers, they're actually very, very good at towering as well. So this is looking extremely good for China. One of their best home maps, and I think a setup that really favors them. Because they can play their aggressive playstyle, and Brazil doesn't have their restarts anymore. Brazil cannot restart the game if they feel like their spawns aren't perfect. So they'll have to play it as it is. Yo is gonna have a reasonable amount of food around his TC. He can bring him 1 boar. This one is something that he can lure with Loom. This might be something that you can lure without Loom because you also got the hill over here. Miguel is gonna have 1 boar to take here, 2nd boar, bunch of deer. Nice little bases for both players over here. We get some super close fishing here between Dogao and Lix as well. And Miguel is quite far away from the fishing geek of Yo. I feel like Yo's fishing geeko is ultimately safe here. And that actually benefits him quite massively. Like, Miguel's Fishing Eagle could be pushed by Lixa much easier than how Dogao could push the Fishing Eagle of Yo. And once again, it helps Yo immensely. Chinese players are just so good on Nomad. I mean, really, some of the best Nomad players out there are the Chinese players. Anyways, first board is in for Miguel. Grabs Loom for himself. And for the time being, let's take a look at the scouting information of Brazil. He knows that Yo is here. And the reason why he knows is because he sent a goat to scout or a turkey. And the turkey was lost over here. If the turkey is lost over here, it means that there is a unit from Yo here. And at this stage of the game, if there is a unit here, that means that the town center is here. So I am fairly certain that Miguel knows that Yo is here. And soon he's going to find Yo's villager. Yo also sees the house, so now he realizes Miguel is close by, sees the chopped down tree. And he knows about that, and he's gonna go lame at the Huntables with the villager. He's going in to lame the Huntables. Oh, that's so good. Right now, I feel like Yo will or potentially get trapped here, though. Right now, Miguel is sending in a villager to chase that guy down. Other side, Dogao also knows about that town center spot, and so does Lix about his opponents. DCs, none of the players have lost a single villager so far. So, for now, it is... oh, Yo could actually lame that board, and that would be so good. But nope, he's turning back, so Miguel is gonna have that. Anyways, the main concern for Miguel is that he doesn't have a safe stone, so he could easily get towered by Mr. Yo, and Yo is going to... like, if Yo can get a faster field ledge and drop a tower here, that might be game over for Miguel, because he's got no safe gold, no safe stone, and Yo is planning on that. Look at that. I love this play from Yo. He is going to trap his opponent here. Like, wall him in. And if you wall him in here on this peninsula, then Miguel's gonna have nowhere to run. Normally, Miguel could just walk out to this stone mine and do counter towers. Yo knows about that. Yo knows exactly that his plan, once he gets pressured by towers, is to move out here. So guess what is Yo doing? Yo is walling his villager in. Miguel is trying to trap that villager, but I feel like this is a good trade for Yo. Like, Yo isn't really gonna get anything out of that villager anymore. However, right now Miguel is trapped, and as I said, Yo isn't far away from clicking up to feudal age once he finishes that boar. And boy, when that happens, and also he's sending another villager. So what he wants to do is, okay, he's gonna lose a villager, but on the other hand, he is also gonna trap this other villain here. Although now he's deleting the wall so that villager could go back home. Yeah, he's just gonna try and double here tap this. Look at this. Tries to quick wall that will. Insert some Benny Hill soundtrack to this one as Yo is getting housed here for a moment. First to feudal is gonna be Dogao, and look at that. Once again, Lix walling it off here, just trying to trap his opponent as much as possible or limit his movement. Yo is gonna wall that will in here, and guess what? I mean, Miguel has one idol here, just like Yo, and doesn't matter that you leave the walls here if the walls are up here. And just look at Yo. He's dropping that tower. Yo is very close to clicking up. Miguel, same thing, but Spanish villagers build a little bit faster. And... oh, look at that! He's completely trapping his opponent. He is completely trapping his opponent. It's all about that for Yo. He's gonna be like, okay, you're not going anywhere from here. And Miguel is dead. I mean, what is Miguel gonna do when he gets tower up in his face? He can do one counter tower against the Spanish player that builds faster. A tower on this hill would actually deny that gold. Tower here would deny this wood line. And then you can drop a tower here, denying the wood. Miguel, unless he breaks out of this one, this is over. And look at that. Miguel is just about to realize that he's gonna bump into walls here. This is the moment when he actually starts to understand what's going on. He's going to have a feudal advantage, and I feel like what he needs to do right now is he needs to pull a bunch of wheels and bash down those walls. Like this one, for example. He must not just sit back and chill. He's gonna have a better feudal age time. And because of that, he's able to drop the first tower here. So what he could do third is make a tower here and then bash his way through. That could work. But He needs to get through those walls. If he doesn't get out, it's over. Like, the other thing that he could do is try to get a market up. By the way, this villager is trapped in here. This villager is actually trapped from Miguel. So what the Miguel could also do is make a market and try to buy stone to counter tower. Anyways, look at Yo's fish boom, by the way, behind this one. He has 31 villagers, by far the best in the game. Left side of the map, we also have to take a look at this one. Licks doing Licks things, and... well, we got a defensive tower here from Dogao. Aggressive tower here on the woodline as well from Dogao. So, turns out that Licks is getting pushed back here quite hard. Licks, however, making scouts. So, we're gonna have a pretty aggressive feudal age here on the left side. For now, scouts are coming in here from Licks. He's gonna break the walls here. Scouts will help out in this villager fight. And let's see what Yo is up to. Tower versus counter tower. When towers are fighting, the hill advantage isn't actually something that is taken into account. And remember, these are Spanish villas. 5 Spanish villas against 7 non-Spanish villas. Both towers will go up, but this benefits the Spanish player. But look at Miguel. Miguel might be able to FC this. Miguel might be able to FC this one. He's not gonna be able to drop a castle, though. So what's the plan for Miguel? He can actually get some wood, and yeah, indeed, here it comes. I think what Miguel should do is buy a castle for himself. It's going to be awfully inefficient, but if you can actually get a castle up here, and transport ship, you see a transport somewhere? It could be. We could see a transport, and that would be reasonable. Lix is going to lose a villager, and honestly, this might actually look better for Brazil if Miguel's got an untouched play into Castle Age. Although Yo can also go up. No, this isn't going to work for Miguel. Because Miguel will have to buy that castle. Yo is going to build that castle with the stone he's mining. He isn't going to get a big enough Castle Age advantage here for Miguel. I don't see any transport ship. By the way, Yo is going to actually let that villager get out. Look at that. He even saves that vill. Yo is just so much on point, and it's double towers now. No fletching on either side. Fletching would actually help quite immensely in this tower fight. But this forces Miguel to buy a second batch of stone. And it's just inefficient to buy all that stone with the gold. It's just very, very inefficient. Alright. So, let's see what we have over here. Massive mess on the far left of the map. Dogao trying to force a tower up. He's gonna lose a villager. He was trying to lame the gold available to Lix. This is just an absolute chaos on the left side. But there's so many things happening on the right side that it's very hard to keep track of everything. Yo, look at Yo. He's very close to getting a castle. Miguel, not so much. Miguel's not gonna be able to get a castle. And Yo is gonna drop a castle somewhere around over here. And like, if he drops a castle here, Miguel's gonna have like nowhere to run. Because he's trapped from this side. He just needs a castle here. And Miguel is toast. Like, full toast. Miguel's got a good fishing eco, but so does Yo. And while there isn't really anything happening, let's take a look at the left side. We're gonna have scouts being popped out from either side. Lix and Dogao are at even villager count, but this benefits China quite massively, especially now that that's -1 vill, -2 vills. Spearman could actually be killed by towers as well. There is low HP villagers around. Dogao is getting slaughtered. 7 kills to 12 deaths. So, here's the castle indeed, and, well, it's just a big trap for Miguel. He can't do anything. Miguel is just trapped in here. It's not necessarily his fault. It's a very unlucky TC spot for him, and Yo has played this one extremely well. It's all about trapping your opponent right now, and Miguel is out of this game. Miguel is not gonna be a factor anytime soon. Like, yeah, indeed, he has to make a transport. That's the only chance that Miguel has to restart the game, but there is going to be Yo with conquistadors on the field, and I mean, now you can't even access the gold. There is going to be conquistadors, and I would say that Yo might actually make Siege Workshop and mango this one down. There's going to be monastery, but at this point, I feel like Yo doesn't need to kill Miguel. He just needs to push the base of Dogao. Because Miguel isn't able to help Dogao. Dogao is still feudal age, and Conquistadors would completely eat Dogao. So, Miguel coming in here with the transport. Luckily for him... No way. Oh, he's so lucky. He's so lucky. I completely missed out on this. By the way, my overlay has frozen apparently. I'm just looking at that. What? None of the players resigned, so maybe just my game dropped? This is weird. This is very, very weird. Did the game end? Or what's happening? Because none of the players resigned. Oh, my game is frozen. Wonderful. I'll have to restart my game and catch up. Oh, shoot. I'm so mad. But, like, I actually have the fast speed walkthrough on that, so we are gonna be back in a game in a moment. Oh, I shouldn't see the resign. That's true. It was GG, you say? Was it GG for who? Was it GG for Brazil? I can understand if it's a GG for Brazil. We actually missed out on some parts about that if you just look at the outcome. But basically, Miguel would have had to restart his game completely. I mean, he had to run away. Okay, they resigned. So, well, I'm sorry for the overlay crashing in the last moment, so we couldn't actually see that, but let's be honest, everybody knew that was coming, right? And it's a completely legitimate resign from Brazil. I mean, Miguel is trapped, he has nowhere to go. He's unable to help Dogao. Dogao is feudal age and he's going to face conquistadors. That's not gonna happen. It's going to be a 2v1. And at the end of the day, we end up with a 2... What 2? It's actually 4-1. What am I talking about? I'm getting a little bit rusty over here. Sorry for that. So, let's try getting back into this one, shall we? It is a 4-1 victory for Team China over here. And, well, my expectation was 4-2 as Venegor is coming back with a resub. Thank you so much, Venegor. Welcome back for the 8th month of Shark support. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. So, let's break this one down, because there were some moments where I wasn't able to focus that much, as I said, because I had some urgent things to do that I had to kind of simultaneously do while casting, which is pretty challenging, believe it or not. Game number 1. Interesting strategy from Brazil to go to the Tatar way. I like and dislike at the same time. They probably felt like they don't have the chance to win the game standard, so they went for a slaying strategy. And, well, it didn't work out. Game number 2. You had Team Islands, China, extremely good use of the Teuton civilization in this one. And pretty much won the game that way. That was kind of a must-win for Brazil with the type of civs that they had. Wasn't able to win it, so they ended up being down by 2-0. Game number 3. Leaks playing amazing with the Incas pretty much allowed Yo to just snowball the game with the Berbers. That actually made it 3-0. There was a nice game on Ghost Lake by Brazil, but it wasn't enough to make it come back. Maybe if they win Team Islands, it would have been closer, because I expected Nomad to fall into the hands of the Chinese team, but Well, it is what it is. China advances to the finals, and whoever they get as an opponent, it's going to be an awfully hard matchup for them. So I think that China, if they continue to play the way they played today, they are a very good candidates to win the entire tournament. Congrats to Mr. Yo and Lix for beating Dogao and Miguel. Miguel and Dogao played well. It's just a matter of the fact that Miguel and Dogao played well. Yo and Lix played absolutely amazing. And that's basically what propels them into the grand finals. China is going to be the first finalist tomorrow. Brazil goes into the third place game tomorrow. So we will still see them one more time in this tournament.